Welcome back, OG and Legion, to LCK Spring. Yes, Jin Air GreenWings were able to take a pretty clean victory over MVP when MVP decided to draft something that reminded me of one of those solo queue games where the duo in your team is like, don't worry guys, our Blitzcrank Pantheon bot lane is just gonna carry. And then when they're 0-9 at 10 minutes in, you're wondering why you thought that believing them was a good idea. The comp was cute, but it just didn't work.
My analogy is a little bit more succinct. Seemed pretty good for patch 8.3, but for 8.4, the lack of proactivity is something that Jin Air were heavily able to target with a very smart first Baron that kind of took the game over the edge as Grace on the Azir will pick up the MVP. The runes were standard, the gameplay was standard, but he was involved in the best moments of the game, and it was a team victory by Jin Air GreenWings.
Yeah, just brilliant stuff. Was really able to shove out Ian early on into the game as well. Had to have him teleporting back to lane at about 4 minutes in, which is what prompted this moment. Ian very far behind. They got Umpty low, but intelligent flashes get them out of the way. MVP just not having the performance they necessarily wanted, as that teleport was an odd one and a late one.
Too late to get anything out of it. This seemed like it was going to be the moment that MVP actually got their wombo going, but they botched it, and from there they never really had the chance to use it again. The Baron being snuck was such a big problem for MVP. This is post-Baron. As things continue to go on, and Jin Air in every fight were able to trade up, and nothing really that Ziggs in the side of MVP could do.
Yeah, this was probably the best moment for MVP. This one, certainly not so much.
That's when the Baron rolled in. Closest target, Teddy at 2 items, I believe. At this point, soon to be 3, soon to be the eventual victory. It did drag on for a while, but you were never questioning whether it would be a Jin Air victory as they roll into
anyone?
Game 3. Yeah, Azir, even under the fountain, was able to pick up a couple. So there's some smiling from Grace. Starting spot secured, and a Game 1 victory secured as Umti gets in the picture as well, mugging for the camera.
Yeah, moves up to 300 points in the MVP race, so certainly behind Kuro, who's snuck out ahead to 800. Could still sneak his way back in. Justice hasn't been getting as much airtime, so next few games could be some opportunities for Grace.
And maybe the Ziggs back to the sideline for Ian.
Yeah. Thinking something a little bit more standard for MVP if they want to bring us to a game number 3 in our first series of the night. Game number 1 felt like a bit of a gimme after that draft phase went through, after Jin Air were able to play out the early game the way that they did. Just felt like a bit of an inevitability moving towards the Nexus explosion. Couple of banner of commands, they knew what to do on 8.4, and Jin Air continue to look better as we move on to the new patch. In a patch that we weren't necessarily expecting Jin Air to look better on. So now that we move back into Champion Select, Sion once again going to be the focus from Jin Air.
No red side Sion Flex is going to be available for most teams, I would wager, but certainly not for MVP. We've already played it in 2 roles professionally. I feel like this Gangplank must first round ban status is overstated by MVP.
Yeah.
Feels like he becomes a situational second round champion, or maybe even a second round ban, depending on the draft, but we will digress from that. Digress, I should say, from that, and focus on this particular game as Sejuani's actually been banned on blue side. That's that Jin Air wants to first pick a jungler for Umpty. That jungler is Olaf, but they'll probably take Skarner if he's left up.
Well, the Xayah is going to be taken away here by MVP, so they can't ban both the Skarner and the Olaf. Jin Air thinking about what they want to take away now, and could continue to look towards the jungle pool, but maybe a mid laner could be an option here at the same time. Swain could be considered as well in case MVP want to try and get a little bit of last pick action on that one, whether it be the first round or the second, but the Corki going to be taken away from Ian. Might indicate that they're looking for an Azir to try and pinch Ian one more time.
Could also be a first pick Ryze if they really want to go mid lane.
Yeah, true.
Ryze was something that Grace has not necessarily played to success every time, but it is going to be a respected pick with the Buster Archangels on patch 8.4.
Still his most played champion as well.
And the Olaf will be banned. That was my most expected first pick. Now Skarner and Ryze. Skarner, Ryze, and Varus to me are the champions you would heavily consider first picking. Grace has shown a lot of Azir priority, so one can be rolled in as well. So it's quite a lot open, which does bode well for MVP on the red side.
Also bodes well for Jin Air. If there's more than, say, 4 champions that you're looking at with hungry eyes, then you're going to be able to pick up at least one of them as Jin Air have their turn after MVP's first round. But the Skarner, understandable, going to be taken away, and Umpty does get a lot of priority here from Jin Air.
That's been their blue side strategy. First picking a combat jungler for Umti to really find the biggest lead, and then going from there situationally. And maybe we'll not leave open the Tristana. It's going to be Tristana taken away, and Zach has a pretty good time in team fights when he's against the Skarner. Can use his ultimate to scoop the Skarner in and have him killed. See how Jin Air wants to lane against the Tristana, as Caitlyn is usually the go-to for Teddy and Deft, two big Caitlyn players.
Yep, you have a feeling that Varus still feels like a decent pick here
Definitely.
as well, if Jin Air can pair it with a bit of a battle support as well, or they could just pick Azir Varus and feel really great about the amount of damage that they have available from the carries.
I'm interested to see if they do choose the Varus. It's the most standard thing. I would take Caitlyn because it's safer against the Zac. Varus can end up being very difficult to team fight against Zac with, because you have to defensively flash. So I appreciate this choice here. I think Teddy is on the Caitlyn hype train like Deft, and I noticed that Bang, for example, was overlooking it very heavily last time out. I think Caitlyn is in a really good spot right now, so I'm a fan of that pick. And we look over the side of MVP. I think it's time to take Ryze. If you want it, they take it. So very, very standard. We get mirrored Dross on the blue and red side.
It means the laning phase for Ian's going to be much better as we move into the beginning of this game. And also, as far as pushing waves is concerned, we were talking about that a lot in game number 1. Now, Pilot will have a lot more options with that explosive charge on the bottom side of the map, and Ian should be able to get things shoved in.
I'm interested to see where they prize the counter pick, because if you think about it, maybe it's time to counter pick support to find a way to actually take down the Caitlyn X. We don't know what the support is going to be, because if you allow your support to be counter picked, then Caitlyn will have a very happy time in lane against Tristana, especially early. She has the supreme lane advantage when it comes to the range. Looking at the bans here, seems like Jin Air focusing out safe top laners. The Ornn and the Scion already removed. The Swain does go down. It's a second round ban against MVP. Probably don't need to first round it. See what MVP prize here. My guess is they're going to counterpick support, and the Cho'Gath would represent that.
Yep, safety on the top side of the map, and with Scion and Ornn gone, he's the next in line as far as those tank picks. And I'm glad you spoke about the counterpicker support, because we've seen overseas different options coming in. We know that Max likes to mix it up, and we know that his Janna is something that he's always wanted to play. Janna Tristana has been a lane that we've seen in the past a whole lot. It might be worth a revisit, as Soan, considering going back to the Trundle once again. He's given it a couple of tries so far in the LCK this spring. He's going to hop back on it once again. Yeah,
and I wondered, because Jin Air have been last rotationing a counterpick for Soan in some drafts. Think back to the Trundle, like you say, against KT Rolster, but also the Alawi they've tried in the past, so probably no surprise there. Would be smart to go defensive in your bot lane support choice, because you already have the Trundle lane to play around, and that will require Caitlyn to be a bit safer. Caitlyn Tahm can't use, so very good siege options for Jin Air in the 4v4, as we know that Trundle will be whacking away in the top lane while all that happens. So counter-pick support for Max as well, who does have a champion Ocean in that particular scenario.
Oh, Taric could be a little bit sad, feels a little standard for good old Max, but we saw that Jin Air made this lane work extraordinarily well. They're just going to go for safety, and up against Tahm Kench Caitlyn, you're going to need as much of it as you can get, because Teddy's going to be brutal on that bottom side.
The worry that you have now is that it's not a counter pick, it's a strong lane into Tahm Kench. Taric lanes very well into other melee matchups, so while it's a safe Taric and you think, okay, team fight baby, let's go, Zac and Cho'Gath in the front line, what if there never is a team fight? Because there is going to be lane priority in multiple lanes again for Jin Air. It is a winning Caitlyn lane heavily in this particular scenario. The Ryze does have a good laning phase against Azir, but it's not lopsided in terms of pressure. And then Skarner rolls around, the first couple of Impales work, and you never get the true 5v5. So MVP, take the information and choose to double down on 5v5. I would have reinforced bot lane laning phase, because that can definitely trip you up when it's Teddy and Wraith, and especially Teddy on the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and it's so much more important now in this meta as well, where winning lanes feel like a great idea. And having advantages anywhere. Pressure is so well utilized now on 8.4. Ian will have an opportunity to gain that. We know that in the Ryze Azir matchup, it can go both ways depending on the players, but Ryze, you know, will most of the time be able to pull out ahead. And yes, you're right. It is a strong bottom lane, but we don't know whether it's strong enough here from MVP. But the comp does look so much more standard. They're not trying the gimmicks like they did in game number 1. Let's see what happens as we move into game number 2. Jin Air fans really raising their voices. Now they've got a little bit of pride and happiness after game number 1. Probably a little bit of worry in their hearts after MVP have looked so much better in the second round robin. But after game 1, you have a feeling that Jin Air are going to be able to ride that momentum forward.
Especially because MVP did not make too many adjustments in their draft for game number 2. It's still Zach with 2 out of 3 lanes are going to be struggling as the early game crests into the mid game. Around 10 minutes, Trundle will have a happy time. Caitlyn's going to have a happy time the entire time because she's Caitlyn. That's what she's picked for.
And it's Teddy as well.
And if you think of it as largely losing lanes in a Zach, it sounds like a bad time unless you're scaling to the late game. So that's your worry there, is that getting value out of this draft, it is 2 lanes that Zach could go for a level 2 or level 3 gank and potentially find a lot of gank assist. But given how passive they were in game 1, MVP needs to convince me that they have new ideas, because if you think about it, if you think of this game as another game in the scaling playbook, they went scaling in their match against Rox Tigers, and Rox weren't able to close it out, and they were able to cash in the call and win with a very scaling draft. So that would be 3 out of 4 games scaling on a patch that doesn't seem to favor scaling.
Yeah, and we are going to have a slight pause here, guys. So it's a slight headset issue for Umpty. He's going to see whether he can fix that one up and get back into this game quick smart.
Thankfully, we have replacement headsets on hand, so fingers crossed this will be a fairly easy one.
Yeah, real quick one, actually. By the looks of things, he's already set himself up, so it shouldn't be too long at all. We get a little bit scared sometimes because we've had some extended pauses here, but not this time around, Pop Smithy.
No need to go into the alternate reality watch this time.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, I'm wearing it if we need to, so don't worry, guys. If you want to check out multiple dimension Atlas and Papa Smithy, you can certainly do that.
How are they doing right now?
Oh, crikey. No, they're doing okay.
Seems like a more severe pause on their side.
Yeah, no, it's a toilet issue on their side.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it feels bad. It's weird that we've actually coordinated the multi-dimensional pauses, though. That's kind of cool. It just must be the particular dimension that I chose to look in on. It's the most interesting. My watch is pretty good at being good about that. As the Jin Air fans in the audience,
they're happy with this dimension.
Yeah, damn right they are.
Dimension where they comfortably won game 1. That looks like a really annoyed Amumu.
Annoyed and sad. It's like he's angry about being sad. Maybe Amumu is, considering his position in the meta at the moment.
Fringe at best.
Yeah.
The MVP fans wish they could see some more beyond Amumu, but even that has sadly dried up.
Yeah.
The problem is solved, says Joel on Discord.
Yep. Thank you very much, Joel. And thank you very much, Umpty, for getting himself back into the game.
We're ready. Let's get in there. I want to see some Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, I want to see some Summoner's Rift too, Papa Smithy. And we are going to have it right now.
The cheeky logo shot. Love it.
Real nice. Umpty going to utilize his Crystal Spires to get things going on. Seems like Emax will be coming in once again. Predator Skarner has looked good, but not so good here in the LCK. Umpty wanting to get some more victories on the champion.
I think a lot
sitting at 50-50.
I think Umpty and these other junglers are similar mindset. I'm thinking of Peanut in particular. Are on the Predator hype train on patch 8.4. Olaf or Skarner.
Yeah. If I can pick Predator, it's going to be a good time.
And for multiple reasons, that's good. You don't need to rush into the Tracker's Knife, so you can get boots on first back every time, regardless of how many camps you pick up. There's less wards for you to walk through, so even though Predator's usually a lane gank only, there's less vision on the map. You just roll in and get the gank off anyway. Good trade taken by MVP this time.
Yeah, Wraith. Going to take a lot of damage from this explosive charge as well, down to about 300 health. Does have a lot of potions to chunk through, but Teddy doesn't offer a lot of damage back here in this early game. So really good look for MVP.
Yeah, double indirect buff makes Predator suddenly even stronger, and we were seeing plenty of it on patch 8.3 when Olaf finally rolled through. Seeing the invade here by Umpty, but Beyond rolls in. Smite available for Umpty. but knows that Ian's on the way.
Yeah, wants to try and get a stun, but the snare's going to come in from Ian. A lot of damage going down as the flash comes in, but beyond, he lands the arm, smacks them together as Grace turns up, and actually means the death for his jungler, Jin Air. Gonna fall first blood at 3 minutes.
Bit of a weird exit plan coming through.
Oh no, Ian! This is the Ian we've learnt about recently, and Grace has to flash under his turret.
Feels so bad for Grace, has cleanse not heal because of the matchup. Could have been much safer from Umti. He could have just flashed over the wall. Trundle had lane pressure on top side, but he wanted to just walk to his mid laner. Realized too late that Grace was not going to be able to react as fast as Ian. Gives over double buffs and now also a summoner advantage in the mid lane. This is a huge problem for Jin Air, and will really slow down what was looking like another draft that favored them in the early game.
Yeah, and we were thinking that potentially Rise would have an opportunity in the early game. Well, he damn well does now. Double buffs as well as picking up first blood. He's going to go back, grab his tier, on his way to a catalyst as well.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than double buffs and also a stacking item.
Oh, yeah.
With a summoner advantage. He is set up to be the hard carry here, so Ian, stand up and be counted this game, says the MVP faithful.
Yep, Ian also able to use that spellbook to get back to teleport.
Oh, speaking of Ian.
Yep, the lane is going to be started. He wants to overflow this lead towards the bottom side of the map, the side where things could really become a problem for MVP. The flash comes in from Max, but he doesn't find it. Pilot comes down, Wraith is going to be the target, eats the grey health, the satchel charge is there, but not enough. Max picks up the kill in the end as Ian still putting in damage onto Teddy. Man, having a red buff on a Rise early game feels damn good when he's able to gank at 4 minutes.
Fantastic roam timing from Ian. Pre-Realm Warp, makes it to the bot lane. Azir, no teleport to get back to mid. Just really well coordinated, and Jin Air slow on the reaction. Felt like this 2-0 for Jin Air after the draft in game 2 was going to start rolling. But that hope is now out the window, and Jin Air going to have to fight back from what is already a 1,000 gold lead pre-5 minutes.
Yeah, Wraith was trying to stop some backs as well as he used his unsealed spellbook to get himself back to lane. So having a teleport and an Abyssal Voyage could be good for Wraith moving around the map as we move throughout this game. But I don't know how much further into the later stages of the game we're going to make it, as MVP have started this one off swinging. 700 gold is going to be the lead, but being able to set up these lanes to win feels really, really good. It means that Beyond should be able to focus on top side if that does start to get out of hand. So on already with a decent CS lead of a couple of waves.
I think ADD knows where he's at with his 3 cloth armor.
Yeah.
Compared to no purchase.
Battening down for the winter, I think.
Yep.
I just need layers.
Ninja Tabi into a Frozen Heart. As Frozen Heart is epic value against Jin Air this game.
Mm-hmm.
Working against 4 of their members. Couldn't be any better.
Feels pretty good. Also, theoretically works against 5 if you think about it.
No.
Tom Kench wants to stack up the Devour.
You're being facetious again.
He does sort of pseudo-scale with attack speed.
You're a pseudo-commentator.
Oh, you always say such nice things to me, Papa.
That's what I'm for. Hey. Well, someone wants to go back and pick up his Tiamat soon. We'll wait and see. Probably going to be Ravenous Hydra, but you'd think maybe Titanic, because extra health against Cho'Gath is pretty happy.
Yeah, with the way that this game has gone so far, you can imagine he probably doesn't want to go anywhere near the other players from MVP. He's pretty happy in his 1v1 if he can keep it like that.
Bramble
going back
Vest,
just yet.
Bramble Vest, Frozen Heart, Ninja Tabi. We know what's coming through from ADD in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Someone knows as well, so it probably isn't going to be the top lane Fiesta where he gets 2 turrets pre-20 minutes like he did against KT.
Yep.
Now, he lost that game, so maybe that's a good thing. But mid lane control in a matchup that's always pretty good for Rise, he may not always have wave control, but he has at least the ability to go 50-50, is overflowing into better than 50-50 with, after picking up the 2 kill involvements early. The stacking is going to be early Atlas, which is always something to speak of.
Yeah, it just means that Ian's going to benefit so much more from getting early gold in this matchup. Not going to go for the early Rod of Ages by the looks of things. There's a pretty precarious Null Magic Mantle there, saying Abyssal Mask pretty loudly.
And this is a build we haven't seen in a while. You actually have to go first item Fiendish Codex just to get power.
Wow.
Which means no Stinger and even less wave control against a Rise. Rise will actually heavily outpush Azir this game, which is something that's always at least going to be decent for the Rise. Should be great for him here. So I expect a lot of attention bot side as MVP going to start vertically jungling, because suddenly Skarner has pretty few options, given that mid lane's in pretty much a state of disrepute.
Yeah, bit of a gank path there from Ian, looking to try and get a cheeky rune prison onto Grace, but he's not going to be buying it. And Beyond turns up now. Not sure whether he's actually been seen by that vision, but Grace not going to move into a dangerous position.
Jin Air have one try. They can try an Abyssal Voyage into the Skarner bot lane, but MVP control this side. Umti gets the early information. Beyond doesn't know he was seen in the control ward.
Yeah, Realm Warp was there at least for the first level. Not going to get them too far from Ian, but thankfully Jin Air going to be safe underneath his turret.
There's a level 6. They can try something assertive. It's mid lane.
Yeah, Chilling Smite comes down, but Grace does just shift some sands, gets himself.
They're going for the all-in bot lane. They need this to work.
Yeah, Abyssal Voyage comes down. We've got the ultimate there from Max, though. They're not taking any damage, and Umti just going to get devoured and taken out of there. No opportunities for anything. Impale not utilized.
Timing was right. They needed to do it as early as possible, just as Wraith pinged 6, because as you saw, the reason why they cancelled that was not just the ultimate, it was that Ryze had already left mid lane, and Grace just has no roam ability. He's Azir, he's behind, so he is rooted to the mid lane, and man, they had to pull back. They get the Cosmic Radiance, so it's a lane they can return to, but there's very fine timings when you make what feels almost like a mini desperation play when you're this far behind in terms of map control. You need to be able to pull out early and cancel their advance, because if you get counter ganked there, then you just end up giving away complete control of the early game to MVP.
Yeah, and every time one of these ganks fails, it feels compoundedly worse every single time. Jin Air, you can feel that desperation, like you say. 1,000 gold the lead for MVP as we're checking out the top side once again. Tiamat, like you were talking about, is going to come in, and that's a Vampiric Scepter, so you're right.
Get 2,600 gold on his first back, so
not bad.
Will be Ravenous Hydra. Doesn't mean he's going to be a little bit squishy, but he'll be fine.
ADD with the Dream pickup as well, given the Bramble Vest and the Glacial Shroud. Got some cheap-ass boots too, so he'll be okay. I was sort of hoping for another one of these interesting builds coming out from the Cho'Gath. I liked the Sunfire Cape that we saw, one of the previous Cho'Gaths that we've had, just to try and get a lot of early power.
That was So1. He went Sunfire Cape into Thornmail in that game against the no-damage Kongbu Monster Comp.
It was pretty damn good, but going to be in a different situation. Now, MVP started off this Cloud Drake, not going to be gifted the first Dragon Infernal that Jin Air got in game number 1, but they'll take it. Next one's going to be that Infernal, so we'll see whether they can continue this snowball and be given the gift of Infernal Drake.
Predator popped on the top side. This is optimistic, but could happen.
Yeah, got the Subjugate going down. Good double knock-up with the Rupture, but can they actually get anything done? Impale comes in at basically the right time, but good flash timing from ADD. He's getting a lot of his health back as Umti under the turret. Could be in trouble. Another Rupture positioned perfectly, and ADD just won't die. He gets out of the way of the Skarner, and they pick up the kill. No kills at all for Jin Air as now Beyond pulls back So1. He's dead. The Zac gets a kill. It's a disaster for Jin Air.
Yeah, top lane disaster. That's why they canceled the attempt bot lane. They saw something like this coming. Top lane, they fully commit, and both of the Ruptures were picture perfect from the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath mechanics, very rarely something we talk about outside of the irony of the gameplay around his ultimate. He needed to hit both of these Ruptures, and he did. Watch the start of the replay. Comes in, double Rupture as the Skarner flashes in. They go for it anyway with the Trundle, with the tanking. Remember, Trundle's the only one who does damage. The secondary Rupture hits. He can swag, walk away. 50 health, feels like a Giant's Belt to the Skarner. No damage coming through from him. And they also get the roam off. This puts Jin Air in a huge hole in the early game.
That flash was also genius. Gets the grass proc and then flashes instantly afterwards. Utilization of Grasp of the Undying, I haven't seen pay off so well ever before, but ADD certainly did so. Guy that's been stepping up over the last few games. Zingo's Pilot getting aggressive onto Teddy, but not a great trade. He's just going to lose a bunch of his health bar. Looks like he was wanting to go back, though.
And good news, we know how Jin Air plays when the early game doesn't go their way.
Batten down the hatches, boys.
It's time for Teddy to hit 6 items, so you have to feel like if Jin Air wins this game, Teddy will have
got
6 items. He's going to have 6 better items.
I hope so.
There's boots in his build. You know that's not 6 items.
Yeah, those gloves do not look good.
But, yeah, this is the way. If you are unfamiliar with Jin Air and you have heard the meme of them stalling to late, that's when the early game doesn't go their way. When Teddy decides that I need 6 items that don't include boots to win the game, and feels like Jin Air have the 6-item win condition going. We are on patch 8.4, which is a heavy nerf to that.
Well, MVP are going to continue the pressure moving in. Shelly should be able to get a decent charge onto this turret. We'll go down to about a third health. Well, actually more than that. He's only got a quarter left. Jin Air will be able to at least get rid of her. But so much space given to MVP this game. Wards on the top side of the map looking okay for Jin Air, but MVP are so safe on the bottom side. I mean, you can see Pilot and Max still just pushing up, pushing up. Pilot actually might be in trouble here in the 2v2, but Buster Shot comes down. They're going to trade ultimates, but Max eats that one up.
Current game state's really bad for Jin Air. In the mid lane, they never got a stinger, so there hasn't been really any lane control. That's why the Toronto went for a roam. So on, actually going to potentially be all in here. These trades are always interesting to watch because there is the Bramble Vest available.
And it's always interesting as well because it's all about Subjugate being used or not. Because now ADD wants to try and find his way to actually fight someone who has to be a lot more careful against the Cho'Gath. It is that ultimate that really means that Sowan's going to be able to win these. There's Grace. Is he going to be able to get out of the way? Nothing to attach the Azir to.
They're just roaming. They just want to take the mid lane turret, which is 1 hit away.
Yeah, should be taken. And Ian gets solo gold as well. This Ryze is so fed this game. It's Flash just out of fear for Sowan.
That was actually Ryze cutting and the Zac coming through, so had to move away, but solo gold. Didn't go for Rod of Ages. I think Rod of Ages would have been nice in this game with how far ahead he was. Scaling could have started around 10 minutes, but they're going to be more powerful earlier, and maybe with the game being skewed to 0 to 20 minutes, over 20 to 30 minutes, which has kind of always been what we considered the early to mid game. Going for the most immediate impact of the magic resist and the aura is what Ian prizes, because now he's a raid boss already. The Cho'Gath is also going to have buffed up damage. The Zac going to do decent damage early. And Jin Air in full scaling mode. MVP on the front foot for the first time, I would say, in patch 8.4. Let's see how they can actually increase the pace of the game, because it's already a pretty big start after the invitation given by some Jin Air mistakes.
Yep, it's looking brilliant for MVP as Pilot's pushing towards this outer turret on the bottom side of the map. They'll get that very easily. Not a lot of Caitlyn lanes that you see losing their turret at 15 minutes. Just no pressure available because of Ian roaming towards the bottom side so early, spreading his lead throughout the rest of his team. And this is a player that we've had questions for many times here in the LCK. But over the last few games, he has been one of the big ticket players for this team.
Showing new champion picks that he hadn't been preferring before. ADD's champion pool. Cho'Gath was back, and you knew that he would be in a good spot. They can answer a banner minion very easily with the Cho'Gath Feast.
Not to mention Tristana's damage, who's going to be able to spread it around among potentially Baroned up minions in the late game if they ever worry about that. As Sowan's going to go on to ADD. He's super tanky as another Rupture comes down. The silence is there, but I don't think the Cho'Gath can tank it this time. Devour is going to secure it. And with 3 members invested on the top side of the map, MVP suffer their first loss of the game.
But it's just a kill. It just prevents the perfect game because Jin Air aren't going to be able to pile on. They knew that the rest of the team was rotating top side. Ian's bot lane, but notice he doesn't have teleport. So his global ability to roam is not there with the Ryze, only has the Realm Warp. Infernal Drake spawns. It is a 5v4, but that time is still short. Jin Air doesn't feel strong enough to start up the Infer.
Yep, item parity here for our AD carries as well. Makes Teddy probably feel a little bit better. Pilot just wanted to continue scaling this one out. Infernal Drake will go over to MVP, making it the Bushfire combo, the wind and the fire.
And another Infernal as well will be frustrating for Jin Air as here comes a big roam.
Oh, Teddy has to flash out of the way. Ian wants to follow up, gets the Realm Warp eventually. Is now beyond. He's going to go invincible underneath this turret. All 4 members of MVP, in fact, not going to able to be hit. And Max happy to tank up the turret as well. Umpty takes incidental damage from Pilot and Ian's just so damn fed. He does so much damage, and they're focusing on Teddy. It's exactly what they needed to do this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Teddy wants to farm up, getting greedy for farm. Didn't respect the engage range coming through, and it's taken down. Very nice Realm Warp usage from Ian to compliment him on his last game on Ryze. Started the season with a pair of losses on Ryze. It wasn't a priority for them. increasing in their execution and their team play. Also tightening up around objectives. It's happy news for MVP fans. Feels like we're going to a Game 3 unless MVP makes a pretty significant mistake around Baron.
Well, Beyond is going to discover Wraith here. He gets jumped on. Pilot's going to come down. Rocket Jump is there, but he just wants to focus on the turret. Objectives are the idea. As we are 2 minutes away from Baron spawning, MVP, we know that they have their eyes set on that one. Ian's going to come down. He moves hella fast as the Rune Prison's there. So on just nowhere he can go whatsoever. Unless he can go up. See whether he can actually do this, but the slow's going to come in from the Vorpal Spikes and he'll be fine. ADD is going to be able to help pick that one up, but Ian gets another one. 2-0-3 for the Rise. This game has fallen apart for Jin Air.
Absolutely. Able to roam down bot lane. There's no punishment anywhere else on the map. They have a little bit control top side, but there's actually 2 wards in the area. Teddy will see one, but ignore it. Hoping he can find an objective.
I'm thinking about actually potentially baiting here. He moves up to take this one down. A couple of members available, but I don't know who they're really going to be able to pick off. And underneath that turret, Tristana is going to be A-OK.
And it's a battle just to get vision in their own jungle, let alone any vision around the river or advanced. MVP continue to push in. Cho'Gath feels like a Trundle counter right now because there's really little the Trundle can do with no map pressure. This happened a lot earlier than it did against KT Rolster. A lot of problems for Jin Air. A lot of them. The blame has to be laid at the foot of for both his failed invade into failed top lane gank, the over-forcing both of aggression in terms of counter jungling, but also ganking has really just spread across the map. The double buffs in mid lane led to bot lane getting ahead. So many things have cascaded from a couple of mistakes that the end result is now all MVP can do, so Jin Air can do, is hope and pray for an MVP mistake.
Well, it's going to be very difficult for that one to come in, given rapid fire. Pilot feels fantastic, having his Infinity Edge already completed. Massive amounts of wave clear, attack speed steroid, making the crit all that more valuable. MVP around this Baron. They probably want Cho'Gath to be there for the secure if they want to go for any potential MVP 50-50s that they love so much.
Have so much tanking ability though with the jungler and also Tark with Tyr able to spam out the heals and keep everyone safe. They have very strong Baron tanking. The damage is decent, actually with Ian already having Seraph's Embrace.
Well, Beyond actually wanting to try and catch anyone trying to put vision down. You can see Jin Air have a lot of vision. Their own jungle is exactly the player you didn't want to get caught. Max is right there to pick him up after the flash.
Yeah, I don't understand why is trying to contest vision when 2 members of his team are on the other side of the wall also contesting vision. Can't get vision everywhere. They did not know where the enemy team was. Ban will be started, and I think Jin Air has a pretty good idea this is happening, but no ability to answer.
Yeah, Max is actually gaining health. He was tanking that one to begin with, so all too easy, finishing off the Baron with 4 members and having full health at the end. Seraph's Embrace going to transform for Ian as well. He's got the Ghost picked up that we saw utilized in that bottom lane gank. An MVP, all of the tools available. Just don't quite have a Banner of Command just yet. It's the only thing that you're really going to talk about, but a 21-minute Baron probably means you don't have it. But no, I take it all back. Ian picked up Banner of Command.
Why not?
Okay.
In the mid lane, going for a different item build on the Rise. But when you're this far ahead and your team is desperate for the Bannon to start at 21 minutes in the game, why not pick it up yourself?
Well, he's the one with the spare money. So he should be able to set one up.
He has so much magic resist as well.
It's just ridiculous. And there's so much magic damage on this team with Teddy being put behind with these ganks that have been put into him and the fact that he's a 3-item power spike
this
away.
This is the weirdest snowball item of all time. The snowball QSS, certainly. The snowball Banner of Command. Then a roll up bot lane. There's the Bannon minion. Good luck getting anywhere near that one, Teddy.
Yeah. Under a lot of protection, this particular Banner minion.
Doinby is looking at this and nodding his head.
Yeah, he's like, I approve.
Korean mid laner in the LPL, known for his off-meta builds.
Yeah, complete ridiculousness. Nautilus mid was a personal favorite of his, and loved the Scion mid as well, although that feels meta these days.
They roll up. They have a Zac, a Taric, and a Cho'Gath to allow this MVP minion. We'll call it Maha.
Oh god, Ray taking so much damage. Explosive charge, not going to be enough to wipe him out, and ADD loses a lot of damage there. So the Bannon minion is going to be taken down, so
yeah,
not a lot of push left.
Maha the minion died.
Mother minion. Oh dear. That's a little bit mean, isn't it? Second item Void Stuff as well from Grace feels awful, but he needs it. He needs it.
How are you going to do damage to the sick 140 magic resist or so that is going to be on the rise? I believe it's at least 120. I'm going to say 130 on the rise, so he's unkillable.
Yeah, straight up. Teddy's not going to be able to do it. He's only on 2 items. This inner turret in the mid lane is going to go down. It's just rotisserie style here for MVP.
That's a Subway sandwich I got as well.
I know. Absolutely delicious chicken and fantastic ability to win games. League of Legends here, Pop Smithy, if you're a team called MVP. ADD's having the best time ever in what was going to be an awful matchup. Doesn't matter. The rest of your team gets super fed and you're a god at dodging tower dives.
The Jin Air scaling backup plan, it's over. On this patch, it's impossible to scale. 8.5, maybe it gets a little bit better. On 8.4, oh boy, there's just no way back into the game. Unless there's that critical mistake, and there's so many items that it's hard to make a critical mistake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least Jin Air haven't had their base broken just yet. The problem is that there's a 10,000 gold lead. 24 minutes into the game, there's potentially so many Barons to come. We've got 25 seconds before this one falls down, but a second Infernal, Papa. This is what MVP wanted. They just want this game to go on for as long as possible. Pilot is a full rapid-fire cannon and a Vampiric Scepter ahead.
I think it's time to shelve the Trundle. Seems to be a bad luck omen.
Oh yeah, it's straight up not working for So-On. He was still on a 6 KDA. He was feeling great on the pick. But the rest of his team hasn't been doing so well as they tried to Realm Walk the Dragon into Jin Air. As ADD says, where did my friends go? Hello?
It was optimistic. The Pillar just answered all 4 members, as ADD is the slowest person to solo a
This
Drake.
looks like one of those terrible movies, you know, like Sharks versus Lions, or I don't know what they're called.
They actually look pretty similar, so it seemed like ADD was talking to a family member. It's a bit of a spat. They're screaming
yeah,
at
it
each other.
seemed like a bit of an argument.
And then he ate his family member. That's a bit dark.
Yeah, that's why I think going towards something like the new King Kong movie as a reference is probably a better option.
Well, Grace wants to get a turret. He's going to get one. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, another Baroned up minion comes bot lane.
Yep, heading down.
We'll call this one Doinby. Oh, no, not Doinby.
Doinby had a bad time. Don't come back to Korea, Doinby. It's going to be awful. Max takes a lot of damage that he didn't really want to take here as another cheeky auto attack comes down from Teddy. Nothing to auto attack to spam out those heals, so Max just had to head for the hills. ADD still putting on the pressure though, and MVP not fully punished, but do have to back away. Another Infernal after that second one means that triple Infernal available for MVP.
Oh, this makes look extra worse because it ends up being the highest roll Drakes for when his team falls behind because of his own mistake.
Yeah, didn't want to go for an early one because the first
draft
one was a
was great here by Jin Air. This was definitely a winning draft, but cannot execute this poorly in the early game and not be punished on a snowball patch like patch 8.4.
Yeah,
as Beyond's feeling it.
Yep, absolutely nothing that Umpty can do, but there's a lot that Beyond can do. No Kidnap available, though, as the Cosmic Radiance does come down. They get rid of the turret. That's what they wanted to focus on, but look at the Azir. AoE damage coming in. Redemption heals everyone from MVP back up, and you feel so bad as Grace because you did so much work, and it's all nullified.
What happens when there's a gold lead, Atlas? You have to make multiple mistakes. One is not enough. Able to just reload, back away. You've broken the base. Baron spawns in a minute 30. Umpty will rush up, try to get some vision down, but that's all they can hope to do. Umpty's build similarly sad. Boots to a Cinderhulk, and it's going to be the adaptive helm. Not like Beyond is fully decked out, but a Giant's belt towards being tanky. Skarner was always going to have a bit of a hard time in team fights. It was supposed to be about the snowball around strong lanes and then just being in a gold lead. Find yourself in a huge gold deficit. No one really to ult away and no one you can instant kill and won't be caught recalling, but is information to the side of MVP.
Yeah, loads of vision. Pilot now has a QSS as well, so he's not going to get picked out with that Impale if it does get utilized. Ian looks like he wants to finally pick up a Void Staff or something of that ilk. But he can probably buy whatever he wants at this point. Maybe a Zrot Portal. Just continue being this PvE-style player. Get the RTS version of League of Legends happening.
They're trying this. This is going to take a long time to kill Ian.
Yeah, I don't know what they're in fact trying to do. 4 members are going to surround him as Ian is taking some relevant damage. He's going to get eaten, but in goes Beyond. Look at that huge heal, and Max has the ultimate to keep his mid laner alive. MVP turn up in the nick of time, and all the buttons were utilized from Jin Air.
And man, he needed to spit him out earlier because it armed in the belly of the Tom Kench. It doesn't
He's like
interrupt
trying
the channel.
to chew him, and it's like, oh, he's all golden and metallic. Didn't like it. Catfish don't eat metal, guys. Ian surviving, does have to go back to base. MVP milling about the Baron once again, and this one will be a difficult one. Shoves that Baron, banner of command on the bot lane.
And knows it's going to be a Baron fight, so won't need the Baron, the banner of command available till about another minute or so, and the cooldown will be back up. Jin Air have some items, but still in a huge hole in terms of item efficiency. An instant kill onto Pilot, pretty much the only way you can hope to win a fight, and there's a lot of damage on the other members, including the Cho, at this point in the game.
And this is just such genius. Using that banner of command early, not waiting for the Baron buff, means that this bottom wave is going to be shoving in. They're going to lose an inhibitor because it's just going to keep pushing. It was already shoving.
It's even worse. They lost to Trundle. He has to go and answer it early.
Yeah.
And the moment they see that, even more options available at MVP. He's into the vision line right now. Now, he can answer it a lot better than other meta top laners because he does physical damage. MVP don't start the Baron. They're continuing to bait.
Yeah, we've got a Realm Warp available here for Ian if he wants to get in amongst it, as Rupture doesn't find any targets. Pilot, Peacemaker almost connecting as well. Would have been half health for the Trist. Only has that Vampiric Scepter and the Fleet Footwork in order to give him some of his health back, as at least now he can hit the Baron. Realm Warp comes down. They want to try and get on top of the members of Jin Air, and the Devour comes in, but Wraith, can he actually save Teddy? He does, but it's Umti that's going to pay the price. Grace from over the wall can't get as much work done as he'd otherwise want to. And MVP, they grab the pick on the jungler, and that'll equal Baron.
Yeah, it's going to give up the Baron. There's nothing they can do to contest it with their smite down. They don't have the damage to roll through them either. Someone had to die. It was the jungler. What are they going to do now? They're trying to delay at least.
Yeah, cute little knockbacks, but Pilot, he's going to be able to get the aggression onto Teddy. Flash and the heal utilized as Abyssal Voyage means that Teddy may not be able to get out, and actually, it's on the other side. I keep just thinking that the aggression's going to fly forward, but MVP, they want to go back home, buy more items, get the work done.
And they'll also be in position for the third Infernal spawn of the game. Rise went Void Staff, not full tank, but he's going to use his first promote very early on the Banner of Command. The Bannon rolls down. They've got control wards across the map. They can happily play one lane now that Tristana has hit level 16 and her range is up there with Caitlyn's. Only good options for MVP, who have been in full control of this game after Jin Air sadly caught with their hands in the cookie jar. That's all you could really say was very much Umti being too greedy. Now they roll through. It's a siege minion, but also a caster minion.
We're going to get Bert and Ernie actually in the same lane this time. Woohoo! Feels brilliant. MVP, that didn't feel so great, your max, but should be able to get some of his health back here. On the bottom side, he's setting up. Okay, ADD taking so much damage, he's just going to die. In goes Beyond, but they don't have their main tank. Can they pick up Sohan? That would be important, but he's not necessarily part of it. Oh God, Grace, that was ambitious, and ultimately not what you wanted to do. They lose the Azir from the fight, and they've still got a banded up minion shoving forward. MVP going to be able to break the base now, despite the fact that ADD just threw his life away.
Yeah, but mistakes under pressure. You could say the same thing about Grace. Gives up his life bar, trying to make a secondary play when the rest of his team is backing away. But here we go.
Yep, trying to catch out Ian. He's so tanky though as In goes Beyond once again. Teddy, he's able to pick off the Rise. A lot of the power on this team, but Pilot, he's very healthy. Beyond's going to go down to his passive and taken out. And Jin Air, they're stalling this one nicely.
Oh dear.
God, is it happening, Papa Smithy?
We were definitely getting a Fiesta. That should have been a lot more straightforward. ADD giving up his whole health bar and dying. I assume Flash was on cooldown. It's available now, but assume it was on cooldown because it's died in one rotation. They're going to give up an Infernal as well. That was not the clean execution that people were looking for. They were over 10,000 gold ahead when they made that play and yet conspired to find a way to not actually take the first inhibitor of the game. 2 inhibitor turrets, no inhibitors. And Jin Air, so much standing gold they still can't get to. But now, the lingering doubt for MVP starts to get a bit louder.
And could it be that, Ian not having any relevant items really for doing damage, he's sold the Banner of Command now?
That's also a weird decision.
Yeah. Because he's realizing that, look, I may just not have enough damage now. I was wanting to scale, to sort of finish the game off. But if you over-index into these items that are luxury, can become a problem.
I think swapping Banner of Command out for an Oblivion Orb is not really the right way to go, though. At the end of the day, with tank items, you control space. And, you know, Tristana's at 4.5 items, so I'd rather him just be another tank and then buy a full item. So it's very strange to me that he would make this decision. Also means they have only one banner now onto Ian.
Yeah, it's going to be utilized as the Sun turret is erected in the mid lane. But you can see the Sand Soldiers defending quite nicely. Empty, he's a non-factor, but the rest of Jin Air, they've got power now.
Yeah, Gaitlin's at 4 items. If there's a Lord Dominic's Regard before the first inhibitor goes down, there's definitely a fight that Jin Air win. So let's watch MVP. They can play 2 lanes very easily, but Ryze will have to bring up the minion wave. On the bot side, they want more pressure than just 5 members sitting on top of the inhibitor.
Beyond going to get himself out of the way. Ian moving down now as well. Wants to try and...
Watch
oh, God, that crit was disgusting. Ace in the hole comes down, but Pilot is at least able to keep himself alive on this minion wave thanks to the Mercurial Scimitar, but he won't have what Teddy has available to him. That Bloodthirster means that this chunking that Teddy takes, he'll just be able to shoot Beyond or shoot ADD. Get a lot of that health back, despite the fact that ADD does have that Bramble Vest.
Finally found a way to get good positioning on the inhibitor. They take it down.
And ADD, he had a great early game, but now it's just not quite working. Redemption comes in. Good Rupture to stop the onslaught from Jin Air, but this is not how this game was supposed to go for MVP.
Oh, it looked so straightforward for MVP after the early game misfires. We may see the Caitlyn that seemed impossible to be reached, as he's only about 4,000 gold away from his usual 6+ item position. Lord Dominic's into selling his boots for another Zeal item. They're picking up minion waves, even Grace of all people. If you consider where the game is at right now, it was supposed to be a starvation. It was supposed to be no camps, no minions available, and just the gold lead sticking. The gold lead is getting smaller as time goes on. Grace is picking up farm that was impossible for him to get to. He's going to flame Horizon Rise because MVP was so far ahead, but haven't been able to actually close out the mid game.
It's just so frightening. We know that Jin Air are capable of this. We all remember the 94-minute game. But we weren't expecting it on this patch. Grace is so close to grabbing that Rabbidan's death cap as well.
You know what the scary thing is? He's actually ahead of items over Ian.
Yeah, straight up. And he has better items too.
It's just bizarre that this has been able to happen.
I mean, maybe if you thought, like, if Ian had Rod of Ages, like you were saying, would have been a good idea at the beginning, he'd have a lot more damage. He certainly would be able to afford the Morellonomicon that he's now finally completed. But that's only 4 items, really.
And I want to be clear, like, I was a fan of the Banner of Command. I think that was fine.
Yeah,
when they
if
went
you win
for
the
it.
game.
But if you make a mistake with the Banner of Command, then sell it for a bit of damage on Oblivion Orb, that's really bogus to me when it comes to this particular game. And still only now finished the Morellonomicon that holds some value on the Trundle. They already had Bramble Vest. They already had one way to shred some of the healing. But this game suddenly got even in a way it shouldn't have been, which bodes poorly for MVP, even if they do close out this game.
Beyond really, really wants to get to his Randuin's Omen, because Teddy, as we were just getting shown by our lovely observer, 90% crit at the moment. And it's an interesting build that he's going for.
Yeah, he's not even going to go for
Last Whisper, nah, doesn't feel like it.
I'm guessing he has cut down to do more damage to health stackers. You would always take that against the Zac and the Cho'Gath, so the Giant Slayer effect.
Yeah.
It's going to be there for him already. A lot of magic resist, but not as much armor stacked up by the side of MVP, as Beyond really wants to find Teddy.
Yeah, Dazzle comes in, but Wraith, he's not going to get CC'd, and Teddy's going to be A-OK, even able to answer damage back, and the Sand Soldiers set up a wall that MVP can't pass.
Now, they can get first rotation onto the 3rd Baron of the game, as someone has to answer the minions and bot side.
If there's ever a champion who wants to be the one alone answering stuff like that, though, it is probably Trundle.
Takes a bit of time. Let a Baron secure for MVP. What does Jin Air do? Decisions on both sides have been a bit off this game. Baron falling low.
Yeah, Umti wants to get in there for a potential steal. They're going to pull off it. This is not the MVP way normally.
They're just going to finish it.
Yeah, they're going to pick this one up. They managed to grab the Spire as well, meaning that Umti is empowered if this fight does break off. Finally, back up to full health is Baron. He's getting a bit flustered by the amount of shots he's had from both teams.
Remember, Realm Warp is available, but Ian's not grouped with his team, so they can't make a decisive Realm Warp bot lane and take that turret. Minion wave is huge, so MVP should be tending towards the left side of our screen and potentially look to just try to close the game with a third inhibitor turret. Jin Air have to send someone back.
Yeah, they're going to retake the Crystal Spire.
And Jin Air give up the ban.
Yeah, nicely done by MVP. One of the first times that we've seen them peel off. I think it was the last series that they were able to take down the victory in. It was intelligent Baron plays and not just the MVP. Let's just 50-50 it every time.
And MVP largely did the right thing around that Baron. They peeled off when they saw the leash would stay with Jin Air. They contested to stop the Baron from being in a 50-50 smite range. And then they positioned to the left side of the screen because they could always Realm Warp onto the last inhibitor turret. Now they're straight onto the Elder.
Yeah, Umti's actually here though. Does have the flash available to him, but that's secured so incredibly quickly. 3 Dragon Elder Drake and MVP are set up to win this game now.
They definitely are, but the items that weren't there for Jin Air, when we saw this game almost be decided for MVP, Jin Air was at about a 35,000 gold number. Now they're at 60,000. There's 10,000 between the two teams, but that does represent 5 items on both carries. So there is certainly an outside chance of a teamfight win. Not expected against double Infernal, buffed up by an Elder for effectively 3 Infernals, 24% extra AD and AP. But not a formality either, and that's the worry for MVP.
Yeah, I don't feel like this is a guarantee for MVP with how they've been playing out these team fights, especially Teddy's positioning in the late game. Ian taking so much free damage from Grace, who's just off to the side, able to do whatever he wants. They're still able to grab the inhibitor, thanks to Banner of Command being busted as hell.
Strange.
But they bring him over, and Wraith is just going to eat the minion, spit it out, and everything's okay. I feel like Tahm Kench is a great answer to this.
Strange Realm Warp, because the minion wave wasn't there to also be comboed with the Bannon.
No transition available.
They want to get away from the trap line, but it's back again.
Yeah, a lot of damage from the Tristana onto the turret, but you can see Teddy, he does a lot of damage to minions. This is a minion-killing build as well, with pure AD and attack speed.
It's also a siege build. He understood the position the game would be in. 100% crit, already finished. Going to pick up his Phantom Dancer on this back. So 3 Zeal items, Infinity Edge and Bloodthirster. Going to sell boots for a Lord Dominic's Regard. Didn't prize it because if you consider the armor stacking, it's starting to get there, but it's not 2 armor items on every tank. So he's saying, I need more maneuverability. He's got some sick crits as well.
The old 2.5k, not too bad at all, as MVP think that, oh, we can catch us.
If they catch Teddy, the game's over. They might catch Teddy.
Straight up. He's going to get devoured as Wraith gets himself out of there. Thank you very much, my beautiful support, says Teddy.
Man, Teddy was greeting for
super hard.
Super hard for the Krugs of all things. If you lose the game farming Krugs at 40 minutes, that's when the coach comes in and says, come on, priorities.
Yep, slaps you on the wrist.
Still has his summoners. Tahm Kench does not, but Teddy does.
Had the cleanse there as well, which was the important part for Wraith. But this inhibitor, having 2 taken, especially on the bottom side of the map, is a big deal. As good rupture onto Teddy. Can't answer these minions as MVP. They're playing scared, but they're at least able to get these objectives and continue pushing in.
Jin Air will find it hard to engage until the terrain really suits them, which is under the double turrets.
Yep, so on, taking a lot of damage. In goes Beyond now. Cosmic Radiance is there, and they do manage to get it onto 3. Wraith taking a lot of damage. Pilot, lots of backline threat that wasn't able to be answered. Thankfully, ADD eats up the ace in the hole. Oh God, Grace! Massive damage comes in. Emperor's Divide now, as well as the Cho'Gath has nowhere to go. And Jin Air, they're finally able to answer. Max was somewhere off doing his own thing, and MVP have just been sloppy in some of these cases.
They definitely have, Atlas. Jin Air has somehow been allowed to get to 6-item territory on patch 8.4. By far the patch stacked against, well, let's get behind our AD carry at 6 items. It's going to happen anyway. We get the replay. The start of it's well engineered by MVP. They go in, they use the ultimate, but Pilot has to disengage off Teddy. He starts to walk up. 1 for 0 at the start, but the big problem comes for Pilot, who's in the back line as Grace just pokes a Sand Soldier onto him. No one's around. He tries to flash away and dies to a single auto. This would not have happened 20 minutes ago when there weren't items on the carries to actually threaten. Stinger came at like 15 minutes into the game for the Azir in game 1. That's not going to be relevant now. 6 items about to be reached by Grace. Zonia seems to be his last one, although we'll wait and see where he finally goes. And Teddy also at a pretty immense spot.
Yeah, if he does manage to pick up that last Whisper item, like you say, instead of the boots, the Fountain Laser Teddy, as we have come to expect.
I think he's got it.
Yep, I feel like he has too.
And he kept his flash and all of that, which is another problem.
The fact that Pilot lost his the very last second of that fight and was then dead, despite using it, that's going to be a huge deal moving forward. We've got 2 minutes on the Baron.
One good news story for MVP is we return to the patch. It's patch 8.4. Jin Air, with no boots on their AD carry, will have to defend Elder. The second Elder is an insane amount of free stats. The Baron is should contest. The second Elder is a much contest, and they are only strong in terms of positioning around their double Nexus turrets. So there is a little bit of concern for Jin Air that they can replicate what's happening right in front of their Nexus somewhere else on the map.
Yeah, I feel like Jin Air is a bit of a ticking time bomb as far as the clock. They've got to start winning things, getting themselves to a point where they can grab a pick or two. Maybe contest things like the Baron, like the next Elder. We'll be up in a little while.
Again, this patch was set up to stop this from happening. Jin Air have done better than expected, but now it gets even more stacked deck against Jin Air with 8-minute respawn timer on the Elder, and the second Elder being just the most ludicrous thing ever conceived in the game.
Yeah. But I mean, Teddy's getting to that point as well. He's probably got the best items he can possibly have as far as 6 for just doing consistent DPS. Does take a lot of damage from Pilot, who's also decked out. The overshield pretty massive, as they should be able to take down the last remaining inhibitor turret now. Grace turns up. They're setting up the Sand Soldiers, but thankfully that backdoor bonus working for this inhibitor turret.
Gust of Wind will take it down. MVP want this before they turn onto the Baron. They're gonna get it.
Yeah, easy one. As Beyond, he could be in trouble. Elastic Slingshot gets him out. MVP now with half health on their jungler. Warmogs will be able to kick in relatively soon, but Baron now up in 14 seconds, and the super creep waves are shoving in. The bottom lane.
If I'm Jin Air, I find a way to ward around the Elder, which spawns in a minute 30. I think you give up on the Baron. You know 5 members are going to be there.
Yep. Inhibitor going to be respawning relatively soon on the bottom side.
They seem to want to try to fight for it. This is very risky.
Yep, they're going to be discovered as the teleport is going to come down now. Umti wants to find a target, and the peel off once again for MVP. Good positioning from Pilot as the static shift does a lot of damage. And the pillar actually doing work as, oh my god, he kidnaps what he can, but he's still going to be put down to the bloblets. And look at this, Grace just zoning with the Sand Soldiers. And now the Baron is just going to be taken beyond. No, he steals it! Oh my god, now the team fight is going to erupt. Redemption comes down. It's doing damages now. MVP finding the team fight they were looking for. Sowan's going to be enough. Look at Grace, shoves it back into Teddy, and he picks up a double. Can he get more? I don't think so, as Sowan trying to avoid Ian and Max. The last one's going to come down. Ian's going to grab it. It's still beautiful for MVP, but not as good as you would have thought.
What an insane passage of play. A huge steal from Beyond, who just came up out of the bloblets to steal it away. The Realm Warp into the backline was exactly what they wanted. They couldn't kill Teddy. Let's see what MVP wants to do. It's only Max to join the Rise, who is desperately powerful, but the Bannon will roll in. The death time is still long. How much can Teddy do?
Well, if there's anyone you're going to put stock in on the side of Jin Air, it's going to be Teddy. Now chasing after these MVP players. This game still not over yet, but Elder Drake's up in 5 seconds.
The full Fountain Laser is ready to go. There's one on the enemy team, but they're never quite like Teddy. Feels like a pale imitation every time we get to the comical late game, because Teddy has reigned supreme. They don't always win these games, but most frequently they do. The problem is, it's second Elder, and they need to do it again.
Yeah, we got backs actually coming in from Ian and Max. Not a lot of flashes available, but most importantly, Pilot has his, and Teddy doesn't. He's grabbed a Mercurial Scimitar.
I don't think Jin Air can give this one up. The increase in the buffs. You guys are wondering what second Elder gives, as we have not seen it in the LCK yet. It is
completely stupid.
It's
numbers.
Basically everything. 100% bonus on all your other Drakes, so it would represent 32% AD and AP. That's why we're seeing the contest. We'll hold off on the patch notes, though, because this Elder's at 5,000.
Yep, Cosmic Radiance is there as the Kidnap is actually going to come in as well. Beyond, sorting them out in the middle of the backline, gets the knock heads, as well as Pilot being able to now rain down the damage. Teddy not able to auto-attack, and that's a dead Umpty. Double kill comes in for Ian. MVP, they peel off the Dragon, but they get the kills that they want as Teddy and Wraith Can they actually get past this big tank line? It looks like no is going to be the answer.
And it's going to interrupt as the game is won by MVP. We're watching the yakety sax in full effect as ADD is just saying, I'm pretty tanky.
Yeah, he's sitting in front of a blast.
Nothing they can do. No recourse happening. We're just AFKing on the side as the mini-map, or the mini picture-in-pictures where the action's happening.
Abyssal Voyage's Wraith is going to turn up, but yep, there's the Nexus falling down. And we've got a 1-1 series between MVP and Jin Air.
And patch 8.4 eventually does its job and stops the comical stall that could happen with Azir and Caitlyn. So the thumbs up to Riot Games when it comes to actually allowing games to end. That would not have happened on patch 8.3. On 8.4, you have to contest the Elder. You definitely can consider contesting a 40-minute Baron. I love the play at the end that was largely not going to be caught. Beyond started channeling his Let's Bounce during the Realm Warp animation, and then it was instantly armed in the backline when it came through. That was very slick. First time we've seen it in pro play in Korea.
I was pretty confused about what happened there, Papa, but I had to keep going.
It was really, really smart. It got one kidnap from it, and Teddy couldn't do any damage. So the ultra late game stall, well, we screwed up, let's have Teddy carry it over, does not work for Jin Air, and we go to a game 3.
Yeah, but we're going to a game 3 with questions for both of these teams, Papa Smithy. Because MVP, game 1 was a wash for Jin Air. In game 2, Jin Air were almost let back in after a 10,000 gold lead at around 20 minutes into the game. It was a disaster. They basically didn't have a jungler for the whole start of the game, and then it still took so much time to beat Jin Air.
We're going full NALC. It's time for a best of 1 for all the marbles.
Yeah, exactly. Jin Air, you have to put it down to them. They've been the ones that can stand with the best of them and play the longest amount of League of Legends, but MVP, they are hungry for victories now. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the deciding game between MVP and Jin Air.